Isabella Reed once believed in loyalty, love, and friendship. She gave everything to the people she trusted most, never realizing that the same people were sharpening knives behind her back. At 25, Isabella was one of the youngest marketing managers at her firm. She had worked day and night, creating campaigns that turned small companies into national names. But her boss, Charles Whitman, had other plans. One rainy evening, she was called into the boardroom. Charles sat at the head of the table, surrounded by colleagues, people Isabella had trusted. "Isabella," he said coldly, "we've reviewed your recent work. Unfortunately, we've found inconsistencies. The board believes you've been mishandling funds. Effective immediately, you're terminated." Her heart dropped. She knew she hadn't touched a cent that wasn't hers. The so-called evidence was nothing but forged documents, set up by her own assistant, Lydia, the woman Isabella had once called her best friend. Lydia smirked as she slid Isabella's company badge across the table. Charles didn't look her in the eye. It was over. The fall news spread quickly. Her reputation was shredded overnight. No company wanted to hire her, a woman accused of fraud. Friends distanced themselves. Whispers followed her, and the man she had been dating left with a single cruel text: "I can't be with someone who ruins her own career." For months, Isabella drowned in silence. She worked odd jobs, lived in a tiny apartment, and replayed the betrayal in her mind. Lydia had stolen not just her career but her pride. And Charles had made her the scapegoat to cover up his own financial manipulations. But pain has a way of hardening the soul, and Isabella was no longer the soft, trusting woman they once knew. The rise. She started by watching from the shadows. Every night, she researched Charles's new ventures and Lydia's glowing career. Lydia had been promoted to Isabella's former position. Charles was expanding the firm, bathing in luxury funded by lies. Isabella's sharp mind, once used to build brands, was now focused on one thing: revenge. She reached out to an old college friend, Marcus, a tech genius who had always admired her. Together, they dug into the company's financials. What they found was exactly what Isabella suspected. Charles had been embezzling money for years, laundering it through fake vendors, and Lydia was covering his tracks. But instead of rushing to expose them, Isabella smiled. This was about more than justice. It was about making them suffer. The trap. Months later, an anonymous whistleblower sent documents to the media and federal investigators. The firm's stock plummeted. Overnight, investors panicked. Charles blamed Lydia, Lydia blamed Charles, and the two turned on each other like wolves fighting over scraps. While chaos unfolded, Isabella played her second card. She attended a high-profile networking gala under the radar, reintroducing herself to the industry as an independent consultant. With Marcus's help, she presented strategies that left CEOs speechless. Everyone was reminded of her brilliance. And the timing was perfect. While Charles and Lydia's reputations burned, Isabella's star began to rise again. The reckoning. The final blow came 6 months later. Charles was arrested for fraud, his empire crumbling into dust. Lydia, desperate to save herself, testified against him but was soon exposed for forging documents and helping siphon money. She lost her career, her friends, and every shred of respect she once had. One evening, Isabella walked past Lydia outside a courthouse. Her former friend looked pale, broken, and utterly alone. "You did this," Lydia hissed, her voice trembling. Isabella's lips curved into a small smile. "No, Lydia, You did this. I just made sure the truth came out. For the first time in months, Isabella felt the weight lift from her shoulders. The betrayal had nearly destroyed her, but revenge had given her power back. The last laugh. A year later, Isabella stood on the balcony of her new office, her own thriving consulting firm, Reed Strategies. She was respected, admired, and stronger than ever before. She thought of the girl she once was. Naive, hopeful, eager to please. That girl was gone. In her place stood a woman who had endured hell and come back fiercer. And as the sun dipped behind the skyline, Isabella whispered to herself, "They thought they buried me, but they forgot, I was a seed." Her enemies had tried to silence her. Instead, they had given her the greatest weapon of all, the hunger to rise again. And rise she did.